If you've fallen under the spell of Shania Twain, the queen of country music and one of the most prolific music artists in history, you shouldn't overlook this video. Shania's dedicated fan base recognizes that her accomplishments in the music industry are a source of immense pride. However, behind the scenes of Shania's illustrious career lies a shadowy realm of sorrow that can tug at the hearts of those who hold her dear. Indeed, Shania's life is far from the picturesque image you might envision. It is a sequence of tragedies that test the resilience of even the strongest souls. To delve deeper into the untold facets of Shania's life, be sure to watch this video in its entirety. Her early years were a stark contrast to the glamorous life she would later lead. Growing up, Shania Twain did not have the privileges that many take for granted. Her family struggled financially, and she experienced hardships that most children her age couldn't fathom. Music became her solace and escape from the harsh reality that surrounded her. At the tender age of 3, she began singing, and as she grew older, she started to pen her own songs, pouring her emotions into her music. In an interview with The Guardian, Twain revealed that her dream wasn't about fame, it was about escaping the life she knew. She opened up about the tumultuous environment she endured, including violence and tensions within her home. For Twain, music became a therapeutic outlet, a way to cope with the challenges she faced daily. She explained that when hunger gnawed at her stomach, music provided a distraction from the pangs of hunger. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of Twain's childhood was her frequent struggle with hunger. She candidly admitted that there were times when there was nothing to eat in her household. She often went to school with an empty stomach, envying the lunches that other kids brought with them. However, her pride prevented her from reaching out to ask for help or a share of someone else's meal. Twain recounted how she would never consider humbling herself to ask her classmates for a portion of their food. She explained, "I would certainly never have humiliated myself enough to reach out and ask for help and say, 'I'm hungry. Can I have that apple that you're not going to eat?' I didn't have the courage to do that." This fierce independence, even in the face of adversity, characterized her resilience. Being chronically hungry made school an even greater challenge for young Shania Twain. She shared how it was nearly impossible to concentrate on her studies when her stomach was constantly rumbling. This struggle not only affected her academic performance, but also deepened her determination to change her circumstances through her music. Shania Twain's early life was marred by the terrifying presence of her stepfather, Jerry Twain, whose violent outbursts cast long shadows over her childhood. These traumatic experiences were deeply ingrained in her worst memories, leaving indelible scars on her psyche. The grim reality was that violence and mental illness seemed to be pervasive issues within her family, painting a bleak backdrop for her formative years. Twain shared that her family tree was marked by a chilling statistic. A third of my relatives were suicide deaths at young ages. That's not an exaggeration. A number of them died prematurely just from neglect and alcohol abuse. These heart-wrenching losses cast a dark shadow over her family history, leaving her with a sense of pervasive sorrow and tragedy. From a tender age, Shania Twain bore witness to the horrifying actions of her stepfather, Jerry. Her harrowing experiences are laid bare in her memoir, From This Moment On. In an interview with The Guardian, she recounted her deep-seated fears, admitting, "I was worried about my father killing my mother, a chilling reflection of the domestic violence that plagued her household." Her fear was not unfounded, as the violence was not confined to one party. She added, "I thought they'd kill each other. My mom was quite violent too." Many nights of her childhood were spent in the shadows of this violence, a traumatic routine that no child should endure. Twain revealed, "Many nights I went to bed thinking, 'Don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep, wait till they are sleeping.' And I would wake up and make sure everybody was breathing." This poignant insight into the young Shania's life paints a picture of the relentless fear and anxiety that she experienced, perpetually on edge and burdened with the responsibility of ensuring her family's safety. Shania Twain's journey towards becoming a music sensation was not only shaped by the hardships she faced, but also by the unwavering support of her mother, who did everything within her means to nurture her daughter's talents and dreams. Despite the family's financial struggles, Twain's mother made an effort to invest in her daughter's budding vocal talent by arranging singing lessons. This yearly support from her mother laid the foundation for the remarkable career that would follow. At the tender age of 8, Shania Twain found herself performing in bars, a remarkable feat for a child of her age. The necessity of making money to help support the family motivated her to take to the stage, showcasing her vocal prowess in a way that belied her years. In an interview with The Guardian, she recounted those early days, underscoring the challenges and responsibilities she shouldered as a young performer. Twain's deep gratitude towards her mother for her unwavering support is evident. She acknowledged that, without her mother's encouragement, she might never have had the courage to step onto a stage. She revealed, "I wouldn't have done it by myself. I would have shied away from it. I would have shied away from my fears," highlighting that, as a child, she didn't particularly relish being in the spotlight. However, despite her mother's efforts to nurture her talent, Twain recalled that her mother was often emotionally distant. She shared, "My mother was always very isolating of herself." This emotional distance remained a puzzle to her, as she admitted not fully understanding why her mother was this way. Unfortunately, her mother is no longer alive for her to seek answers from, leaving her with lingering questions. In an attempt to bridge the emotional gap between her and her mother, Shania Twain penned her first song at the age of 10. Titled "Mama, Won't You Come Out to Play," the song was a heartfelt plea from a young girl to her mother, urging her to break free from her emotional shell and embrace life alongside her daughter. It was a poignant and touching gesture, a testament to the deep desire for connection and happiness that existed within their family despite the challenges they faced. The heart-wrenching tragedy of losing a parent is a pain that defies description. But for Shania Twain, the devastation was multiplied when she had to confront the loss of both her parents simultaneously. Despite the complex and challenging relationship she had with her parents throughout her life, their deaths had a profound and shattering impact on her. At the age of 22, while she was pursuing studies in computer programming, Twain received a phone call from her sister that would change her life forever. It was the news of her parents' passing. The shock and grief that overcame her were overwhelming, leaving her in a state of profound disbelief and emotional turmoil. In an interview with Today, she revealed, I fell apart totally, just into shock for days, and I just couldn't let go of them." Shania Twain's relationship with her parents was complicated, marked by a turbulent and often challenging upbringing. However, their presence in her life, however imperfect, had provided a sense of stability and foundation. She explained, "As rickety as it was still a foundation. My whole life history was there, with them, and many of the associations fell along the way, away, after my parents died." The loss of her mother and stepfather, despite the difficulties in their relationship, left a void that shook the very core of Twain's existence. Their presence had been deeply intertwined with her identity and life experiences, both the positive and the negative. The emotional bonds, however complex, were an integral part of her journey. The overwhelming grief that accompanied the sudden loss of both her parents left Shania Twain in a state of emotional turmoil. However, she never had the opportunity to fully process this profound loss, as she was faced with the immediate responsibility of caring for her 3 younger siblings, who were still minors at the time. This unexpected role as a caregiver took precedence over her own need to mourn and heal. In an interview with Today, Twain shared the challenges she faced in the wake of her parents' passing. Her younger sister was still living at home, and her two brothers were just 13 and 14 years old. The family faced a difficult decision, as there were no relatives capable of taking in all three siblings together. The determination to keep the family unit intact, a value that had always been important to Twain, led to a decision that they would stick together. It was a testament to her unwavering commitment to her siblings, even in the face of adversity. Twain's devotion to her family extended beyond her parents' deaths. Despite the violence and abuse they endured at home, she never sought help from Children's Aid, because she was acutely aware that doing so would likely result in their separation. The fear of being separated from her siblings outweighed the torment they endured within their family, a difficult choice that underscored her deep sense of responsibility and love for them. In the aftermath of her parents' tragic deaths, Shania Twain assumed the role of provider for her family, a responsibility she embraced with unwavering determination. Her path forward was clear. She had to rely on her singing talent to support her younger siblings. Shortly after their parents' passing, she secured a job performing at a local resort, and this opportunity became her lifeline. Singing was not just her passion. It was her means of survival, a way to pay the bills and ensure the well-being of her family. As she reflected on those challenging years, Twain explained, "It was like, this is all I know how to do. I've got to support the kids." That gave me a motivation and a fearless state of mind, because when you don't have a choice, you've got to push through. And that's what I did. Her determination to protect and provide for her siblings propelled her forward, transforming her into the fearless and resilient woman the world would come to admire. Shania Twain's rise to fame in the entertainment industry was indeed marked by the age-old stereotype that often plagues successful women, the assumption that their achievements are primarily attributed to the men they work with. This stereotype became especially apparent when her career took off after the release of her groundbreaking 1995 album, The Woman in Me, which was produced by Robert Mutt Lange, the man who would later become her husband. Their partnership continued with subsequent albums, and Lange's production was undoubtedly a crucial element of her success. However, it was essential to recognize that Twain's talent, charisma, and hard work played an equally significant role in her ascent to stardom. In 1997, Shania Twain released Come On Over, an album that mirrored Taylor Swift's genre shift with 1989, seamlessly transitioning from country to pop. This evolution left some male figures in the music industry feeling threatened. As her popularity skyrocketed, Twain had to confront the frustrating assumption that her achievements were solely thanks to the men who collaborated with her. Twain's response to this situation wasn't easy, but it was marked by resilience. She shared her sentiments with people, explaining how offensive it was to be labeled as a molded artist who owed her success entirely to male influence. She admitted to often biting her tongue, but her years of experience in the industry had taught her how to let such criticisms roll off her back. It is abundantly clear that Shania Twain deserved every bit of recognition she received, regardless of the male collaborators who played a part in her career. Her undeniable talent, dedication, and unique artistic voice contributed significantly to her accomplishments. Even after a 15-year hiatus from the music scene, Twain's triumphant return demonstrated that her success was not dependent on those former male collaborators. Shania Twain's personal story took a heartbreaking turn when she discovered that her suspicions about her husband's infidelity were not only accurate, but also involved the shocking betrayal of her best friend, Mary Ann Thiebaud. The emotional roller coaster that followed, coupled with the complexities of their relationship, revealed a deeply painful chapter in her life. Shania Twain and Robert Mutt Lange had been married for a remarkable 14 years before the dissolution of their union. The discovery of her husband's affair with her closest confidant, Marie Ann Thiebaud, was a devastating blow. The profound sense of betrayal, combined with the realization that the person she had trusted the most had betrayed her, shattered the foundations of her marriage. For Twain, divorce was not her initial choice. Her upbringing instilled in her the belief that families should stay together, a conviction that had been ingrained in her since childhood. She grappled with the idea of holding on to her marriage for the sake of her son, Aja. She candidly admitted, "I would be one of those people who would keep my marriage together for my child. I tried to keep mut." This poignant insight into her emotional struggle highlights the lengths to which she was willing to go to preserve her family unit, despite the deep emotional wounds inflicted by her husband's infidelity. During an appearance on the Armchair Expert podcast, Shania Twain bared her soul, sharing the profound impact of her husband's betrayal on her emotional well-being. She revealed how the experience made her feel uncontrollably fragile, a stark departure from the stability she had believed she had achieved. The emotional devastation she felt was unlike anything she had ever experienced before. She acknowledged that she had felt safe in her marriage, making the discovery of the affair even more traumatic. Twain's vulnerability extended to the feelings of self-blame and regret that haunted her. She admitted to feeling foolish for not realizing the affair unfolding right under her nose. This self-criticism added another layer of emotional turmoil to an already painful situation, further underscoring the depth of her suffering. The revelation of her husband's infidelity with her best friend plunged Shania Twain into a whirlwind of emotions that threatened to shatter her world. The pain she experienced was not merely heartache. It was compounded by red-hot anger, a seething rage that consumed her. Twain's initial response to the betrayal was a struggle to come to terms with the fact that infidelity had found its way into her life. She admitted during her appearance on the Armchair Expert podcast, "It wasn't just infidelity happens. That was not me. I spun around in that for quite a while. That was the hardest part to let go of, really. The anger." The affair with her best friend, Marianne Thiebaud, was a devastating revelation that triggered a torrent of emotions within Twain. She confessed to The Guardian that she harbored a deep sense of hatred towards her former friend for the ultimate betrayal. The double loss of both her husband and her closest confidant left her feeling utterly shattered, as though her world had crumbled around her. In the midst of this profound turmoil, Shania Twain faced a dark and despairing period where she admitted to not wanting to live anymore. The weight of her emotional anguish was almost unbearable. However, there was a glimmer of hope that kept her holding on. The unwavering love and responsibility she felt for her son, Aja. She recognized the critical need to be there for him, to provide him with the support and love he deserved. It was during this darkest phase of her life that Twain began to confront the unprocessed childhood trauma that had haunted her for years. This trauma had remained buried beneath the surface, but the affair brought it to the forefront of her consciousness. This unexpected turn of events, ironically enough, became a catalyst for her healing journey. She shared how she started peeling back the layers of pain she was in, and in doing so, all the other griefs, disappointments, and challenges she had faced throughout her life came to the surface. She reflected, "And I thought, I've been through worse, and it's time to put it all into perspective." In 2003, while enjoying a horseback ride in Norfolk, Virginia, Shania Twain had no inkling that this seemingly ordinary excursion would dramatically alter the course of her life. During the ride, an encounter with a Lyme tick went unnoticed, and the consequences that followed nearly spelled the end of her illustrious career. Twain's battle with Lyme disease, a debilitating illness, was a harrowing experience that left her grappling with uncertainty and fear as her health deteriorated. In the Netflix documentary, Not Just a Girl, Shania Twain candidly revealed the daunting journey she endured while dealing with Lyme disease and the profound impact it had on her life. She described her initial symptoms as both disconcerting and terrifying, particularly as she grappled with the unknown nature of her ailment. Twain recounted, "My symptoms were quite scary because before I was diagnosed, I was on stage very ditzy. I was losing my balance. I was afraid I was gonna fall off the stage. I was having these very millisecond blackouts, but regularly, every minute or every 30 seconds. The disorientation and physical instability she experienced on stage, a place that had been her sanctuary for years, were deeply unsettling. However, the most distressing and devastating aspect of her battle with Lyme disease was the impact it had on her voice, a vital instrument for her as a vocalist. Twain's voice began to betray her, and she struggled to use it as she once had. Simple tasks like making phone calls became arduous, and engaging in conversations with friends in a noisy restaurant became a monumental challenge. She described the experience as very debilitating, emphasizing the profound significance of one's voice in self-expression and identity. For a singer like Shania Twain, whose voice had enthralled audiences around the world, the fear of losing that cherished gift was a nightmare come true. The journey through Lyme disease tested her resilience in ways she could never have anticipated. It was a battle against not only the physical symptoms, but also the emotional and psychological toll it took on her as she grappled with the potential loss of her ability to sing. Shania Twain's battle with the deterioration of her voice was a harrowing journey marked by uncertainty and frustration. Initially, she attributed her vocal troubles to the emotional trauma she endured after discovering her husband's affair, believing that the psychological impact had permanently damaged her ability to sing. Her close working relationship with her husband on her music only compounded her fears and anxieties, which she believed had been slowly constricting her voice throughout her life. Twain shared her apprehensions with Oprah Winfrey in 2011, stating, "I figured mentally that I would never sing again." She acknowledged that her lifelong fears and anxieties had been gradually tightening their grip on her voice. It was a slow and progressive loss that deeply affected her, casting doubts on her future as a singer. However, as her voice continued to weaken and her career hung in the balance, Shania Twain sought medical help to understand the root cause of her vocal troubles. In 2011, she revealed to ABC News that she had been diagnosed with dysphonia after her divorce. Dysphonia, she explained, is a condition where the muscles surrounding the voice box constrict, hindering the proper flow of air. This constriction results in a significant loss of volume, a particularly detrimental issue for a singer. Yet the diagnosis of dysphonia was not the end of her struggles. It later became apparent that her vocal challenges were not solely due to dysphonia. They were a complication of Lyme disease, a diagnosis that came with a bleak prognosis. Twain disclosed to The Guardian that she never thought she would sing again, and the journey towards regaining her voice seemed insurmountable. Adding to the frustration of her situation, Shania Twain endured years of vocal weakness before doctors finally pinpointed the underlying cause of her condition. It took an arduous 7 years for a medical professional to identify the root of her vocal struggles as nerve damage to her vocal cords, directly caused by Lyme disease. The discovery of this connection shed light on the intricate web of her health challenges, revealing the complexity of her journey toward recovery. What do you think about the tragedies that Shania Twain faced in her life? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.